Hey, welcome to HR Famous, brought to you by Kinetics, the leading RPO recruiting firm for growth companies. Named by HRO Today as the top midsize RPO provider, Kinetics uses its unique skill-based recruiter model to deliver on RPO engagements, allowing them to customize scope to meet your unique hiring needs. If you have recruiting challenges and want to consider RPO as a solution, give Kinetics a call. Find them online at kineticshr.com. HR Famous is also brought to you by HRU Tech, a contingent staffing firm specializing in engineering, IT, and technically related placements across multiple industries. If you're looking for technical talent or searching for a career, look no further than HRU Tech. Find them online at hrutech.com and call them today. Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Dunn, HR Famous Podcast. God, it's good to be back. It's good to have my friends Tim Sackett and Jessica Lee along with me. I want to say, as always, it's a privilege to be podding or podcasting with you. And sometimes we don't get the chance to have the group all together. At some point, Tim's going to go on a big vacation, Jessica, and it's just going to be you and I ruling the world. Do you agree?
Bound to happen. Seems to go on vacation a lot.
There'll be mountains or
why
like
don't you guys go on
Zion.
vacation? Yeah, why don't you guys go on vacation?
Jlee slipped that one in, kind of like not at the height of COVID, but after the height of COVID, and she felt a little guilty about it. I think she's feeling less guilty these days. Taking all the right precautions, by the way. All right, that's Tim Sackett coming in and protecting themselves. Tim's out of the greater Detroit area, also known as Lansing, DeWitt, East Lansing, somewhere up there. But what I really want to talk about at the jump, Jessica.
Hey, by the way, Kamala was here yesterday. She was in Flint. And I want to go, why are politicians still going to Flint? There's literally nothing left in Flint. So
Kamala.
Is that, I can't ever get that right. I apologize to Kamala. I'm sure she's listening. I'm sorry, Kamala.
Well, it's good of the candidates to get to Michigan.
Sure.
Might be a good idea to stop in. But what I really want to talk about is DC. And I don't want to talk about politics just in this intro. I want to talk about something called WFT, Jessica. Are you familiar with WFT? It sounds a lot like WTF, but it's not. It's WFT. Do you know what that stands for?
I do, and it should be WTF. I mean, really, WTF.
It's the Washington football team.
How do you like that?
So Jessica's living in the D.C. area. Let's talk about the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins. I think I can say that from a historical perspective. They finally got rid of that name. Great idea. Probably should have happened a long time ago. But the timing was such a marketing fiasco, Jessica, that they didn't have a name. They couldn't possibly, like when they got cornered in the last round of like controversy, they didn't have a name ready. So now they're just known as the Washington football team, WFT. I'm sure WFT, Washington football team, Jessica, everybody's excited about it in the DC area, no?
No. You know what? They should have gone with like something like when Prince didn't have a name and it was a symbol, like something like that. Like, what is WFT? But the thing is, this whole name thing, like rather than change your name, just get better, be better. Like, I pity the WFT fans of the world. That's just a miserable life. Just be a better team in addition to a new name. There's so much to talk about there.
Be better. That's always good.
Do better.
Guidance.
Yes.
And I've heard that, I think, one-on-one from Jessica Lee before. So it's good to hear it again. Just be better, KD. Tim,
I just looked up. I wanted to find a WFT t-shirt. Like, I think that would be sweet. And they don't even have those made. They're not even that on top of it yet.
So, Tim, do you happen to know if they're allowing fans in the stands in a limited capacity, like they're doing 20%? Fans. I'm not sure what they're doing in DC. Jessica, do you know, can fans go to some of these events?
Well, because they're so bad, there's usually not more than 20% capacity anyways. So they're okay.
It's wrong. My question was, I wonder if they let fans in with the old gear I'm assuming they don't, but I don't know like how they would do that.
It's like some 5-year-old kid walks in with a Redskins jersey. You're really going to say, hey, beat it? You can't. I don't think so. I just don't think they'll sell it.
I can't imagine that they would stop them.
This is like Kinetics in Atlanta, who doesn't have the same issue, by the way, from an issues perspective. I'm not even going to name the issue, lest it be like attached to the company that I love and I'm a part of. But it's like Kinetics changing its name to Atlanta Recruiting Company, the ARC.
Yeah,
just for a year because
used to be like Atlanta Bread Company. Maybe that's good. Maybe that would be good branding.
Yeah, that's a fact. But it's like us changing it to Atlanta Recruiting Company, ARC, and we did it because people couldn't pronounce Kinetics. They kept struggling in the middle of it. Timmy, can you give me an example of that?
So like you mean like Bill Kudik can't pronounce Connecticut kicks?
So they struggled with it and we went there. It's just an odd thing. Last thing on this, Jessica. So you have, I believe, maroon and kind of yellowish gold as the colors.
Mm-hmm.
My gut
I pray
tells
for new colors too.
They're going to keep the colors, I bet.
No, oh gosh.
Right, from a design perspective.
It's time for something new.
Jessica that would be a good way to get rid of.
That would be a good way to get rid of the legacy gear. If you change the colors, people wouldn't want to show up with burgundy and gold stuff, right?
That's true.
Although I'm sure there would be some that would show up without the colors, probably avoiding vaccination and the like as well. I always make a pledge not to get political. Let's don't get political. Let's move on. Go ahead, Jessica.
We should move on. This could be a whole pod episode around family money, poor leadership, people who have no control over the operations of their day-to-day.
Are you talking about my company? What are you doing there?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Mr. Dan Snyder. I know too much. Maybe this is why I don't like sports.
So let's move on to a happier topic in the world of HR. I don't know, Jessica and Tim, if you saw this, but United Airlines took some legal action from some flight attendants over, of all things, preferential treatment of blonde flight attendants on charter flights. Let me give you a couple of updates. 2 veteran United flight attendants are suing the airline for discriminating against employees based on their physical attributes. Danger. Tim Sackett, your danger light should be going off here. By only staffing athletic team charter flights with young blonde crews, Bloomberg News reported. The flight attendants, which Bloomberg identified as a Black woman and a Jewish woman who have both worked for United for more than 28 years, said they could not work on the charter flights because they were not on, quote, the preferred list. The complaint further says that young, white, blonde flight attendants with less experience were able to work the flights in an example of the airline valuing employees based, quote, entirely on their racial and physical attributes and stereotypical notions, their words, not mine, of sexual allure, according to Bloomberg. There's a lot more if you go out and read the PDF in this one, and we'll talk about some of that. I guess I went to Jessica first. I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to Tim first. Tim, you've got a lot to say about physical attractiveness. What's your breakdown of this, of what's going on at United? By the way, I should note, Tim, as I throw it to you, is these charter flights are for athletic teams. So think NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and I suppose there's an NHL team or 2 in there. What's your take?
You're trying to here. So first of all, we know that there was absolutely no preferred list because that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. These women were told there's a preferred list, but the reality was some individual was making a decision on attractive versus non-attractive, and probably also a young versus old dynamic, knowing that you're going to have these professional athletes who are in a certain age range, mostly millennials that, they probably wanted to have a staff that was similar in age, but let's face it, they also wanted them to be super attractive so that none of these athletes would complain and not want to come back, because these charter flights make a ton of money for these airlines. And so that's one of the reasons why they want to do that. we love to hire young and pretty. We love it. We want young and pretty people to work for us. We hate old, fat people, unattractive people. I don't. I'm just saying we as an organization.
The collective we is what you're saying, Tim?
I love ugly old fat people. It's my demographic. So I'm just saying that's, I fit right in.
So Jessica, as I come to you with this, I think attractive people have always had an advantage in the workplace. That's documented through research. But we all know that there are attractive people across all races and nationalities. So as you take a look at what was written on this lawsuit, and I've got some breaking news for Tim Sackett related to some of his comments. We'll get the ticker in as soon as you come in here, Jessica. What do you see with this?
Well, Tim is right to a certain degree about young and skinny. And I actually, this is one of my pet peeves, when it comes to reviewing, any creative collateral, things that involve photos of people. I'm always I want size diversity and age diversity. And I harp on people all the time, size diversity and age diversity. I'm tired of everyone being skinny, young, and pretty. So I don't disagree with
40% of the U.S. population is obese. 40%.
I know, size diversity. Let's show what people really look like. And, being locked up in COVID, I don't really know what that's doing to people in addition. But, the thing that I'm actually wondering, and I haven't been able to find out is aren't United's flight attendants likely unionized? And so how does that work in terms of being on the quote unquote preferred list? And I would assume that those are gigs that are probably more attractive, to work as opposed to having to go up and down the aisle.
It turns out the old white dudes that run the union also like young, pretty blondes.
So I'll have our producer plug in a breaking news little ticker. Just go ahead and start it because I'm coming in. I was coming in on Tim. I looked this up right before we got on the pod. All right, so there's the ticker. Dun, 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 dun. An industry site, Jessica and Tim, called Live and Let's Fly, provided the following notes. So Section 7A9 of United's Flight Attendant Joint Collective Bargaining Agreement holds the following for charters and special purpose flights. Charters, extra sections, and scenic flights assigned to a base will be available for use and placed in open time, which I think is a scheduling thing, unless a particular flight attendant has been requested by the charter organization. So it's actually a part of the collective bargaining agreement that the client or the customer can request specific flight attendants to come back. Interesting, right?
Now, how does that happen? You had somebody from United send a list of probably pictures of to, NFL, NBA. We don't know exactly who the professional sport teams were. And then they said, oh yeah, ding, 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 ding. Here's the crew we want, right?
Well, I think it's interesting. And Jessica, it's interesting to say, even before you get to the collective bargaining agreement, it's a really interesting note to say that anybody that's in the service business with the public who has people in service roles, there's always this pressure, and you guys alluded to it, right? You alluded to young, skinny, whatever your definition of attractive is. I think for me, the lawsuit really pointed out young blonde, and it didn't say it anywhere, but it's young blonde and female, right? For these sports leagues. That's the reality. I think it's interesting. My point would be that United can't be in this business, especially in today's world. So really, they have to flow back and put the pressure on the organizations that are actually chartering those flights.
Totally.
Because, Jessica, you agree, right? Because in today's world, none of those organizations can be in that business, correct?
No, correct. Well, what I was going to say is, okay, so that just means guys, you need to stop being creepy. It always comes back to this. Guys, just stop being creepy.
Do better.
Do better.
Guys.
better.
Do better on LinkedIn and do better like with any provision you have in the collective bargaining agreement. Just be better.
WFT, just be better.
Tim, I got one more like breaking like news point for you. So awesome. You do hear that it's actually protected by collective bargaining. By the way, I think if you got into the legal system, that doesn't prevent United from being sued. From a discrimination perspective, I think there is an interpretation that these employees are part of a collectively bargained unit. And I think a sympathetic judge would say, you need to go back to your union and you need to be vocal with them. I think a conservative judge could throw this out based on that, but a more moderate or liberal judge might not. Tim?
Well, I mean, again, it doesn't matter, liberal or conservative. Most judges, I mean, will not try to, get into the collective bargaining side, and they'll try to force it back to the union. Especially, I mean, I think even more, the more liberal the judges I've seen will actually kind of push that back to the collective bargaining side and not want to just throw it out. But like you said, I think either way, it's either going to get thrown out or it's going to go back to the union, who's then going to go, oh, we kind of signed this. We'll change it in our next, go around 3 years from now or whenever. And by then they'll come up with some other wording and the same stuff will continue to happen, or they'll just go to a private company and do the charters,
Is that conspiracy, Tim, coming in? That's conspiracy jaded Tim coming in.
I mean, how easy? I think if you're a professional sports team and you want, you just kind of spin that off and you go, like, oh, hey, United, do United private charters and have a separate company that's, has non-union, flight attendants. Who knows? I don't know.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Practitioner Corner podcast. It's a wonderful podcast about the journey, the paths of how practitioners, both HR and TA, kind of go from high school, college, all the way to where they are right now. Some of the things that they've learned, how they've been successful, people that thrive around them, etc. It's a fun podcast. You'll love it. You'll learn from it. Subscribe to it. Thanks.
So Live and Let's Fly, the place I got that collective bargaining language agreement, also comes in and says they don't cite like where they got this information, but they said that they've learned from sources inside United that the average age, Jessica, you'll love this, the average age of flight attendants on United charter flights is 46 years old, and that United has a higher percentage of Black flight attendants in its sports team charter program than in its overall flight attendant population. Now, that is quality data that somebody's collecting to try and get this thrown out. We don't have a source of that. But Jessica, I think it comes down to allegations are free. Anybody can sue anybody in America. The devil is in the details, both with collective bargaining. And then I think it's interesting that United's already like posturing to say, actually, people are older than you think, and that we have a variety of beautiful people, Jessica, on these flights, including not only white people, but people of other races and nationalities.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I also was reading, they're saying that these are people who have a good amount of tenure, like average amount of tenure being pretty high, like near 20 years or something. But so I hope we follow this because it'll be interesting to see like what is all the real dirt that comes out from it. But how fun are like the headlines about like, they're hiring and picking people based on sexual allure and stereotypical notions of sexual allure. I mean, this is juicy. This is great, even if it's not true. I love the words that like their attorneys decided to use to try to like get the headlines on this, which is exactly what's happened.
Young and blonde. How dare you? Hey, let's end this segment by, I want you to give me your favorite profile of flight attendant. Okay. And here's my profile of flight attendant that I like. I'll get us warmed up and then we'll move on. We're going to talk about Slack a little bit. You know what I like is I like two profiles. I like the female in her 50s that's really good at what she does, being a flight attendant, and has a natural rapport and just kind of understands what you need before you need it. Patient, but also kind of understands what's going on, not afraid to call BS on something. That's my favorite profile of flight attendant. Tim?
Mine, I tend to, be a frequent flyer, except for obviously the COVID time. So I love the flight attendants that actually understand when they have like those kind of diamond, platinum, blah, 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 frequent flyers, and they'll make the eye contact when somebody that doesn't fly all the time does something that's totally stupid. And it's just that we all know, right? And they'll look at you and they'll go, and you kind of go, yeah,
Jessica, Conspiracy Tim has left the building. Now Status Tim has entered the building. Jessica, what's your favorite profile?
Yes, he knows what it's like to be one of those status flyers. 2 profiles. One is very specific, particularly on Southwest, those full of personality, make the safety announcements and all the required compliance-related things fun. I love them. They're amazing. They make flying delightful. And then the second would be, it might be similar to yours, Chris, the older flight attendant who is seasoned, but more specifically, who know how to put people in their place in a very assertive, tactful, diplomatic way, and just, put them in their place to say, like, what you're complaining about is not acceptable, and I am not putting up with that.
The one I don't like is the one, whether it's male or female, young or old, where they'll like refuse to help somebody. Like if you have like a 80-year-old woman like trying to bring her cart thing down the aisle, and she can't put it up, and they won't help. They're just like,
they just watch.
They just hurt my back or whatever. So somebody has to, like, I usually end up helping them or whatever. But then like on the flip side, like there's some flight attendants that will literally are just like helping people nonstop. And I'm just like, I don't know why the difference of those two personalities are even there. How did those two make it through? One that helps constantly, one that refuses to do anything, even to help like an older person or somebody that has some kind of a disability, doesn't make any sense to me.
Tim with standards is the new profile. That's entered the building. I love it. All right, so we're gonna be watching this. I think one last note, you guys will love this. If this ever got to court, the first thing I would do is I would get the highest profile coach I could find, and I would subpoena him to testify. Like I get like John Gruden like on the stand saying, "What do you really like, John? What are your players like?" All of that. All right.
It would be settled out of court before that would happen.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right, so that's enough on United and Blondes. We'll be watching that. Hey, last thing I want to talk to you guys about, we want to talk a little bit about is Slack. And, Slack has been the workplace darling for a long time. They just recently, a couple of weeks ago, reported quarterly numbers. And, what's really interesting about this is if you look at it, when they reported their quarterly numbers, Jessica, Slack has grown revenue by about 50% for the third quarter in a row. They reported these numbers, and it was in line with analyst expectations. Okay, so they did exactly what they said that they were going to do for second quarter results that was through July 31st, doing everything that they could have and everything they said they were going to do, Jessica, and the stock absolutely tanked. Mm-hmm. The stock got crushed in the marketplace, fell as much as 20%. Yeah. And the real reason for this, when you dig into it, is remember end of July, really the peak of COVID, and what happened during the second quarter. Zoom, as a workplace technology, Jessica, went through the roof. Everybody's using it. It's a hot technology. Analysts expected the same thing from Slack. And as it turns out, Jessica, it didn't happen for Slack. Not surprising to me. I'm sure you're not surprised. What do you see in this?
Not surprised, because really, who wants yet one more destination to go to check messages and interact? And it's not even integrated with the other things you're using. I mean, it's bound to happen, right? No one likes a giant like Microsoft to monopolize everything and gobble all the airspace up. But just I can't see how else something like this would have ended.
Yeah, I saw this as a Teams thing versus a Zoom thing, right? Like Slack was too easy to copy from Microsoft Teams, and everybody already has in a big, enterprise level, almost everybody has Outlook and Outlook 365. And so from a remote standpoint, Microsoft was perfectly positioned to eat Slack's lunch, even though, if you talk to super users of those kinds of messaging platforms, most like Slack and what Slack can do over Microsoft Teams. But I think the average user finds Teams to be just fine,
Yeah.
I think the Zoom comparison, I get it. Like COVID happened and, people working from home, trying to communicate better. Zoom took off, Slack didn't. As a proud member of Gen X, I would tell you, I know Slack has been sexy for a long time. Tim, to your point, you've got Office 365 with a bunch of stuff. And we can talk about Zoom versus Teams Zoom versus Teams in just a second. But, as a Gen X person, Jlee, are you a millennial or are you a young Gen X?
Oh my God, I'm offended. I'm a millennial. You don't know this?
I don't have the date ranges. I don't have an index card with the date ranges there.
I don't think she's solid
Jlee.
millennial, though,
Jlee,
right? You're kind of older millennial, right, Jlee?
Jlee, my point is...
still I qualify.
My point is, Jlee, and I'm sure you experienced this as the millennial you are. As a proud member of Gen X, the thing I most want to do at work, Tim, is I just want to pound the shit out of somebody with email. Give me 200 emails in a cloud of dust and let's go. As Tom Brady would say, LFG. I don't need Slack. I don't need, we have something called Ring Central, which actually white labels Zoom as their video platform. They've got a tool that all the kids at Kinetics are using called Glip. Not me, Tim. I'm pounding emails. The only time I'm not pounding emails, hold on, is when I'm pounding you and Jessica with
on
text
a text
messages.
thread. Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen that before.
One Gen X dude in our organization that refuses to get on Teams. And then he complains that he gets left out of the loop. And I'm like, too bad, dude. You have it on your computer. Just open it up. Stop it.
I just think at the end of the day, people can only go to so many sites, apps to stay connected and communicate or whatever. It's just too much. It's too much.
And the great thing from a technology perspective in America, I've said this many times, the great thing, one of the best things and the worst things is that anybody with $10,000 in a hoodie can start a technology firm, which means there's just so much noise in the marketplace. It's just brutal. Hey, Tim, real quick, and then we're going to move on to our CHRO Move of the Week, related to Slack, by the way. What's your prediction on Zoom versus Teams? You're high on Teams. I expect to see your portfolio 20% Microsoft.
Yeah, no, to me, like Slack, Zoom is too easily replicated through Microsoft Teams. Today, like you talked about Ring Central, Katie, I've done meetings on Teams. I've done meetings on Zoom. I've done meetings on Slack for Business. Or no, it's not Slack, Skype for Business. 3 different platforms just today, and they all work just fine. Well, if they all work just fine, then Microsoft is going to win that battle because it's just too easily integrated with everything else we do.
Jessica, any call on that as our millennial cast member?
Well, the millennials, we can toggle between different things, I think, when it comes to the video stuff. But I have to tell you guys, just in general, I'm all over Teams. I'm Teams, and I think Microsoft is stepping it up. Good stuff happening in there. Fun stuff. I'm enjoying it.
Spoken like a true member of the enterprise level community. Good for you, Jessica Lee. Good for you. All right, last but not least, related to Slack, we've got our CHRO Move of the Week. Let's start the music. All right. I love it when the jazzy music comes in. It's a game show. Jessica, I'm going to you first on this. Nadia Rawlinsen is the new Chief People Officer of Slack. We will link to her in the show notes. She just got to Slack a month ago. And we're talking, and her welcome gift was the stock getting cratered based on second quarter earnings before Slack. Jessica, as we look at her profile, she's a board member at Vail Resorts. That sounds like something you want to do in the near future. Yeah, it's amazing, right? She's also CHRO at Live Nation Entertainment. They've clearly had some changes in the post-COVID. And you go all the way back. She's also a vice president and co-head of global HR at Groupon, another like hot technology concern that came to earth a little bit. MBA from Harvard Business School, BA from Stanford University. I promise we're going to have a CHRO Move of the Week soon that is normal people, but Nadia certainly is not. Jessica, what do you see? Break this CHRO Move of the Week down for me.
Well, you know what I really liked is, when they announced her, like with their press release, I just thought the way that they positioned her, like with this headline, was lovely. I loved it.
What's the headline?
A proven leader with global bona fides. I don't feel like you hear about HR leaders being talked about in that way very often. Global bona fides, just like the word choice. So whoever their comms person is, I like it. But yes, I mean, like when you look at that profile, well-deserved headline for this leader. I think it's interesting. I'm excited for her. I'm excited for them.
You like the headline, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, man, she is loaded with bona fides. She got, like Rakuten, which is like Golden State's sponsor, used to be Ebates, is even a good one. Like you go down there, man, she is just loaded.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, I mean,
It's too bad. It's too bad she jumped in on a 20% decline and probably is going to just watch it go down from there. But hey, teams will pick her up.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because this is a blue chip profile as a CHRO. I think like one of the things you won't find, and I'd like both of you to kind of comment on this. I think if you have a blue chip background like this, you're not jumping in early on given companies. You're not taking a flyer on a company with a lot of risk. So I can't give you the year that would make sense, Tim, but if you're Nadia, the HR candidates with Nadia's background, and you look at all these bona fides, aren't taking a flyer on Slack in its third year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So it kind of becomes one of those things where, if you're late, it's because you've got the ability to be risk adverse and seek great jobs and be able to get great jobs without taking on the risk of being early in, but you also lose some of the upside.
She's been around a lot of, Live Nation isn't really kind of a tech startup. It's been around for a while, but everything else she's been around has been kind of the tech startup kind of community. So really, she's probably a Fortune 25 CHRO next move. And I would say within 12 to 18 months, you would see her at a Ford, really a big, traditional brand. Not to say that that's the right move for her, from a career standpoint, but someone's going to throw a ton of money at her from that standpoint.
Jessica, final thoughts. You like the tagline that includes the word bona fides. I think that's a stretch from a PR perspective, but I respect the game. I respect the hustle on the PR person that said that. Clearly, she's got the bona fide. Anything to close this out on our CHRO move of the week?
I don't want to take away too much from Nadia, but I do think why the CHRO role is open is also an interesting story. What happened to their CHRO who's moved to become, I think it was chief of staff to their CEO. We should talk about CHRO moves the other way of where CHRO is going. I thought that was kind of cool.
What do you see with that person moving to chief of staff? What do you think it means?
Well, so they're clearly stepping out of a purely talent, people-related role into something that's a little bit more probably strategy, initiative focused, helping to be right-hand to a CEO. I think that sounds fun.
Or
maybe they're just sick of HR people.
Jessica, don't you think that chief, what was it? Chief of staff is really kind of, next in line to become that CEO, right? And so that's kind of grooming that person for that role. So,
all right. I'm going to get us out of here on that. Jessica, I can't leave you. We started this with WFT, the Washington football team. What's your leader in the clubhouse in terms of the new name? What do you want? I'm going to put you on the spot. You got anything?
I've heard things that I think are interesting that are very Washington-esque. And so I think in order to pay homage to where we are, although teams can always move, I do think something that celebrates like Washington politics or institutions, I am hoping it's something in that family.
The filibusters? How about the filibusters?
The All Reds.
Oh, no.
Here we go. All right. She's Jessica Lee. He's Tim Sackett. I'm Chris Dunn. Until next time, guys and gals, that is it for the HR Famous podcast. We are out.